Hey, welcome to the Wind Down. I am your host, Derek Graham. Right now, we are live in two places at once. We are live on TikTok. My name on TikTok is Amaruk, Amaruk underscore son of an immortal. And of course, on Facebook, Derek E. Graham. Don't forget the E. You'll find me real fast. That song is a good lead into the hot topics. We are here Wednesdays, 7 to 9 p.m. Wednesdays, the wind down, just some mellow music mixed in with some good conversation, some hot topics, and some things that, quite frankly, the black community needs to hear. It's mostly my opinion. We do some facts, though. We do some facts. Anyway, let's get to the hot topics real quick. Hot topic of good parents. When I say good parents, I mean did everything for their children so their children don't have to do anything wrong and still live a very good life. Who we going to start with? We're going to start with J. Prince Jr. Now, J. Prince, his father, is a record label mogul. I want to say Rap-A-Lot. I want to say Rap-A-Lot Records is his. That's Texas and a lot of down south, right? But his son wants to be seen as his father. What do I mean? Recently, this week? No, it's only Wednesday. Last week, he sent one of his artists on a dummy mission. What's the dummy mission? Go beat that dude, take his chain, and when they were tussling, the few dudes that went and did it, they were tussling. A gun fell out that wasn't with the guy that they were beefing with. It was with J. Prince Jr.'s crew. Gun fell out. Their op picked it up and paralyzed one of J. Prince's men named Ben 10, a rap artist. Now, he sent him on a dummy mission. He ain't go do it himself. See, you don't get put on no dummy missions unless you a dummy. Unless you pumped up and all that. But he had the gun, or the crew had the gun. They probably thought nothing was going to happen to him. And everything happened to him. They got some kind of Ben 10 dance challenge right now on social media where they're just laying down and just shaking because he's paralyzed now. But he got put on a dummy mission by a very wealthy man that didn't have a reason to beef with this man. I heard it was over a woman, but here's the kicker, folks. J. Prince Jr. got the woman from the other rapper. J. Prince Jr. not a rapper. He's more of the mogul signing folks. But he got the girl, and he still wanted to beef with dude. That means you just wanted to beef. And now one of your folks is paralyzed, and you might catch the charge. If you sent them on the dummy mission, if anybody says, yeah, we took orders from J. Prince, that shooting, that attempt murder, that man in a wheelchair, that's on you. Even though he was on your side. That's on you. Now, let me see. The next one, let me get into a few things that good parents do. I'm going to say that. Good parents. And these are wealthy parents that we're talking about. I'm going to get to the second person in a minute. I'll say to the good parents, it's not your fault. You definitely did everything. You set them up in business. You set them up with a wonderful education. I'm sure they didn't go to public school. I'm sure of that. And you set them up with business, not just money, but also a viable business that they can eat off of for the rest of their lives. But they want to be tough. All right, we're going to get to the second one. Let's get to the second one. It's funny to me. King Harris is in the news again. A fool. I'm going to call him a fool. So he got pulled over. He had on a Pikachu onesie. The tough guy. He had a Pikachu. Anyway, that's the untoughest thing to get locked up in. He got locked up in a Pikachu onesie. We got to understand that aspect of this story of him wanting to be tough and wanting to be seen a certain kind of way. Now, he was smoking in the car and speeding, and he had a gun in the car. The gun was legal, from what I understand. He didn't catch a gun charge, but he didn't want to get out of the car. He didn't want to get out of the car, so he got arrested. But before he got arrested, wait a minute, I take that back. He didn't even have ID on him. He didn't have ID to say the car was his or in somebody's name with the same last name, hers, his mother, or his father's, because that's T.I.'s son, right? And Tiny's son, right? Okay. He didn't have ID, which is crazy for an adult. Any adult walking around without ID, it's either an economic issue or you just a little slow, just a little slow. But the police requested he get out the car because they saw the weapon. They didn't draw on him or anything. Well, we see the weapon. Can you come out the car? Because we're just going to separate you from the weapon. They didn't try to take the weapon or anything. He said no. So they were running the car or whatever. Guess what he did? He either texted or he called his daddy. The tough guy called his daddy. And I think that's hilarious just based on how tough he wants to be seen at. We see it. We see him always in the news acting, well, not in the news, social media, acting tough and acting like he'll do certain things. But he called daddy, and as a good father, we're talking about good parents now, as a good father, T.I. showed up swiftly. Luckily, he wasn't out of town doing business or wasn't too far doing business or just being leisurely, right? Okay. He still got locked up though. And T.I. did the father thing. Is there any way we can make this go away? And they was like, no. He made a conscious decision not to get out the vehicle. We could have just ran the tags, gave him a ticket. Now, I think he would have got locked anyway for smoking in the car. I believe they said it was drugs. It was just weed though, right? Either way, he's set up for life. But I'm going to tell you what the problem is, in my opinion. The problem is both of those, J. Prince Jr. as well as King, they want to emulate their father, and it's really not possible. It's not possible for you to emulate someone who actually got it out the mud so you wouldn't have to. There's a comedian, Ali Sadiq. He talks about his son acting like he needs to get it out the mud, and then he come back home talk about his heart out there. Yeah, that's why your father did what he had to do, and then cleaned everything up. Talking about T.I. and talking about J. Prince, so he could slide a business to you, so you don't have to be doing dumb stuff. But you want to be hard, like your father had to be. Private school is funny to me. Private school kids acting hard. They want to be knuckleheads. They want to be thorough, but ain't nothing thorough in them. In my opinion, let's see. We go with King first. With King's scenario, you shut up, you get arrested, you call and tell them what your bail is. That's it. If you want to be tough, like you called your father to come save you. You're not tough, young man. Stay in your lane. Be that mogul's son and just live a good life. J. Prince Jr., if you were really about that work, you'd have went and punched that man in the mouth by yourself. Your boys might have been back there like, don't let me get banked, but I'm going to deal with dude. Because that's how it goes. Even if you gave somebody the gun or you knew somebody had, if you wanted that to happen, you're supposed to do that. Because that's the way it's supposed to be. In fact, I take that back. That's the way it had to be for your fathers. They handled the business that was in front of them, whether it was with the police or whether it was with some street violence. They handled it and they came out shining, so you don't have to. But you keep wanting to be something. And it's not on either one. It's not the first or the second time that they have made dumb decisions. I'm going to say it that way. Made dumb decisions, right? Okay. Let me make sure I got this. Now, I will say this to any parents that have, I'll say 12 to 13 on up young men in the house, right? Show them clips of both of them. What happened to J. Prince and the guy, his man Ben 10, that's now paralyzed for going on a dummy mission. And show them King's video where he gets arrested and calls his father, and that lets you know he's not hard at all. He's a kid. He's in his 20s, but he grew up soft. what Eddie Murphy saying, like soft with a capital T. He grew up living good. It ain't nothing hard in him, and it ain't nothing wrong with not being hard. And I think a lot of our youth that are coming from pretty good, and I'm gonna say I was that back in the day. Not quite as far as economically, but I came from a wonderful background and in a decent area in Baltimore County, and I chose to step in the street. But what I didn't do was call my mother when I got locked up. What I didn't do was ask for bail money. Dudes I was dealing with, it's either go get the bail money where it's at, or y'all put it up and we straighten it out when I come home. Lawyer fee, whatever it was, it got dealt with on the level that I was dealing. I didn't look to others to deal with my F ups. You understand what I'm saying? I would say show your children these young men and how they're acting. Your child got a nice home. They got a car when they were 16. They living in an area where you don't hear no gunshots, there's no pop. Show them that and let them know and understand that's the dumb way to go, because they can always go backwards or they can elevate. You did all that good parenting for them to elevate. Definitely not go backwards. Definitely not go backwards. But we're gonna do I have any more we're gonna get to that. Yeah, it's about that time. We're gonna switch gears. I'm gonna play a song real quick, and I'll see you back in a minute. It's the wind down Wednesdays, 7 to 9. Eric Roberson, talk to him, man. Hey, welcome back to the wind down. I am your host, Derek Graham. Wednesday, 7 to 9, right here, TikTok and Facebook. Let's get it. Oh, man. We still on hot topics, and we got to talk about the war and the fact that the American bully has been exposed. We're not going to act like the American bully has not been exposed with Iran and how they're handling our president. I know y'all don't like to say our president, but we don't have another one right now. That's for sure. We want any, well, not JD Vance. We don't want him. We don't want anybody. But y'all understand what I'm saying, right? So in my opinion, Trump has exposed us to a better understanding of our military. I'm talking about for the world to see, for these opposition governments to see and understand that we ain't as hard as we've been acting. We've been beating up on folks that we could beat up on. You understand what I'm saying? What do I mean? What do I mean? Um, the Strait, the Strait of Hormuz, Iran closed it. We understand that, right? They even fired on some ships that tried to make it through, right? And then Donald Trump does one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in military maneuvering, right? He said, we're going to block it too. Whoever they're letting through, we're not going to let them through. And guess who said nah? First, it was China. China released something saying, we have agreements with Iran for our energy. Don't touch our ships. And they did. They called our bluff in less than 24 hours. And then guess what happened? Then Russia came through, nothing happened. Now everybody through. Now Trump saying, oh, we just going to open it, because you can't bully folks. You actually have to do it in certain situations. But we know, or at least I know, that when you have a bully in school, let's say elementary or junior high, and you rock them one good time, they don't want beef no more. You show them that you're not scared. Yeah, what's up? Don't cross the line. I'm in your face. I crossed the line. Back in the day, we used to put a little piece of wood on your shoulder and dare somebody to knock it off. Well, they just knocked it off with both Trump's shoulders, and they crossed the line. And Trump ain't do nothing. Why he ain't do nothing? My opinion, our armed forces is depleted, because they just been shooting rockets at mountains. They've been destroying some stuff. They killed a whole. See, this is what we need to understand, because a lot of Americans think that people are supposed to bow down after we do some atrocious stuff. We bombed a girl's school, and I'm gonna say on purpose. That's my opinion. With a Tomahawk, that's a very accurate missile. So the whole country is like, nah, let's go. I don't care who else go. We can ready get them off our necks. This will never happen again. And I promise you this, it'll never happen again. Because the American military, how else has the American military been exploited and exposed? Iran hit every base in the area. We're in Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and a few other countries. The bases are gone. That now the question is this for those other countries, because they're talking about it right now. I promise you they're talking about it. If they can't defend us, what they here for? Because that would be my question. If you're supposed to be my bodyguard and they just decimated where your troops sleep, and they just decimated where y'all are used to using satellites and certain technology to show where the enemy is and how all that is gone. All of it is gone in less than 2 weeks. Destroyed. Nothing. And all Trump said, well, we got air superiority. And they got the Strait of Hormuz. And they not letting, in fact, they charging $2 million a boat, even the ones they letting through. And let me say this real quick before I finish up on this topic. Let me say this real quick. Everybody's talking about it's supposed to be a certain amount of boats that are coming to America to fuel up. I don't know if that's true because I haven't seen anything that might not be fake. You understand? Not from a reliable news source. So let's just say certain boats are coming towards America because of that conflict. America's not making money. Businesses are. If 100 extra ships this month pull up to fuel up America, now the people that's working there, they might get some OT, but that's about it. We don't share. See, when you go to the North Africa, y'all call it the Middle East. When you go to North Africa and you see how they're living, that's because they share the wealth. No homeless. It ain't no homeless. Everybody eats. You understand? Everybody gets health care. It's a higher standard of living because they're taking their natural resources, selling it, and spreading the money out. Yeah, there's still some wealthy folks, and there's probably some folks that's not as wealthy and doing very okay, but they have everything they need. That's not America, folks. We don't do that. So if there are extra ships coming, that's for that industry. Remember now, we're capitalism is buckling without a doubt, but that's capitalism. American citizens see none of that. You understand? None of that. And we paying we paying over $4 a gallon right now. And Trump came out and said by the midterms it might be higher because they destroyed so much. Some of that stuff will take years to rebuild that they just destroy it. I'm talking about on both sides. You shooting at me, I'm shooting at you. You messing up my infrastructure to make money, I'm going to tear yours up. That's what's going on over there, along with the loss of life. But the industry is tore up right now. So we don't know if we're going to be paying $5 or $6. If we have to pay $5 or $6 a gallon, everything goes up, folks. The food goes up because they need trucks to get the food to the restaurant. They need the truck to get the food to the grocery stores. And groceries are already high. They say in certain states, a pound of ground beef is higher than the minimum wage. Think about that. Think about that and the fact that in the last 15, 20 years, all you hear these companies bragging about how much profits they're making. We've been listening to that for years, but they can't raise the minimum wage. They can't. We're gonna get into that right after I do another song, because it's almost it's almost over, folks. The fall of America, we're witnessing it right now. Now, Europe has gone around Trump in the United States, and they went straight to Iran to cut a deal. They're working on something right now, leaving Trump. In fact, I want to say it's France and Britain specifically. They're going to police the Strait after everything dies down. They're going to police the Strait. And this is specifically what the French president, I believe, said, or some higher up in France. He said excluded the belligerent parties. That's two. One of them is America. We know what the other one is, but they don't want us to say nothing about them. But we know who and why this war was started. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, folks, the American bully just got punched in the mouth, and we don't have nothing at all for the world to see to say we dealt with it, we handled that punch, and we coming back stronger. We look weak on a world stage. Our dollar is weak on a world stage. Those, if you don't know what BRICS is, Brazil, Russia, India, the C. I gotta think about what the C is and the S. South Africa, I think, is in there. They're getting away from using the American dollar to trade, which is the only thing that held up our dollar, because they were using petrodollars to buy and sell oil. Well, they get ready to go to the BRICS, and that's what they're leaning towards, and that'll tear us up even more, and it's going to be very, very relevant for us. I'm gonna say it that way, for us. But we're gonna switch gears after this song, but we're gonna stick with the bully and capitalism. I see y'all in a minute. It's Luda. It's the wind down, folks. Wednesday, 7 to 9. See you in a minute. That's right, folks. That's our first sponsor. Wash your ass Wednesdays. Please, please, please do that. We want it more than once a week, but we working on you funky folks. We working on you. Oh, we get back to capitalism. So these warehouses been getting burned down. That's the best way I can explain it. Warehouses been getting burned down. The one I did post, I posted the first one in Ontario, California. It was a Kimberly Clark warehouse, toilet paper, paper towels, just basically paper products, right? First and foremost, this was a huge warehouse, all right? A huge warehouse. And they ain't had no sprinkler system. Probably scared not to damage the paper products. You understand what I'm saying? But the employee, well, I think he got fired. He at least got rolled up. They at least wrote him up. But he was on camera. He took it. He walking around just starting. It's paper. It's all paper. You just start and it's gone. From what I could see, he started fires in like 10 different spots through the warehouse to make sure the whole warehouse goes up, and it did. The whole warehouse is gone. Now, what he was saying is what everybody's thinking every day at work right now. Y'all should have paid us more. Because you can. I want to say Kimberly Clark saw maybe 530, I want to say it was 513 million profits within like the last year, somewhere in there. You mean to tell me? And oh, wait a minute! In that huge warehouse, I know many of you saw it burning. It was only 20 employees. You could have definitely gave everybody a $10 raise easily, but the greed, because capitalism is greed. Capitalism is minimize any money that goes out and hold on to everything as much as you can. That's why many industries are starting to attack unions, because with unions you move as one, you don't move as individuals. And usually they get you a better everything, from health care to an hourly wage to vacation. That's just the tradition of unions. But a lot of folks are starting to listen to the company, those who are making the money and those who are hoarding the money, over union reps coming in saying, if you vote this union in, we got you. Capitalism is on its last leg. When you now, I want to say I saw maybe 4 or 5 so far warehouses burning because people are just and let me say this. Let me say this, because I did hear certain folks speak on those people don't have jobs now and you messing up their jobs. But guess what? I don't remember too many folks complaining when Elon Musk went through the government employees and got rid of 300,000 black women. That was just the black women. I'm sure he got rid of a whole lot more, but we're talking about he came through and within months he got rid of 300,000 black women. That's insane, and nobody really complained that much. We didn't hear y'all complaining as much as y'all hear, as much as folks are complaining about these fires being set in these random warehouses. And on top of the fires being set in these random warehouses, some folks are getting Molotov cocktails thrown in their windows of their homes. I want to say, I saw one story. A politician got his house shot up because he voted on something to do with an AI center. We know what AI center's doing. They definitely taking jobs with the swiftness, right? And then they shot the house up, but it was a note under the mat. I don't remember what the note said, but it's getting dangerous because the system dictates that capitalism keeps going, but the people are tired. The people are broke. The people don't. And I want to say one politician in Trump's cabinet recently came out and said, well, get another job or work some overtime. It ain't no overtime. There's a whole bunch of businesses closing because we're actually in a recession and don't nobody want to call it. We're in month 4 of this year. We've been about 5 or 6 straight months with losing jobs. Don't tell me we're not in a recession. Don't tell me we're not in a recession. Certain folks are still doing very well because of whatever industry they're in, or because their industry just didn't hit the wall yet, right? It's a lot of folks that are struggling too much for this to be considered the richest country in the world. I don't think it is anymore. With the dollar going down and with all these businesses closing up, I don't think that the United States is the rich. And if we are, the wealthy 1% are hoarding the money. Can't even go on vacation no more with your family. Can't even, back in the day, if your peoples was doing okay, when you turned 16 and got your license, you got a little hoop dub. The car insurance will make you not get them a car. Even if you can afford a little $2,500, $3,000 whip for them, the car insurance will make you say, nah, you just gonna have to use out me and mom's car whenever you going out or whenever you need it. You gotta share because we can't afford another $300, $400, $500 a month because everything's tight. Everything is tight and the people are pissed off. See, we're used to, in America, we're used to watching other countries crumble and then watching the people react in the streets, going off, right? That's why I said when they had that No Kings rally, because it was more like a rally, y'all not mad enough. Y'all did it on a Saturday so you could go to work Monday. You're not mad enough. I ain't gonna say you're not broke enough because I think it's a lot of Americans that are broke. I definitely know and understand that, but y'all not mad enough. That No King's Day was nothing. That was for the news and to make you personally feel good that you went out there and did absolutely nothing but waste your Saturday. Because it ain't changed one politician, it ain't changed one policy, it changed nothing. You know why? Because they can take that. Take it from the black community, folks. They can take when you protest peacefully. They don't care. You ain't affect their money. You know what affect their money? Burning down warehouses. That's just what it is. That's what affects them. That's what hurts their feelings. They're not listening to anything because they're too far. They're too far from you. And their profits are going up, up, up. And they don't care about the little man. That's one of the reasons why they're pushing AI so much. They don't want you. If they can, I posted this last week, and it was about it was a trucker. He was in a warehouse. He was getting loaded, but he was getting loaded with a forklift, and nobody was on the forklift. It was AI loading his truck. No mistakes, no call outs, no theft, no injuries, no nothing but straight work, and then go back to the charger to charge up and wait for the next truck. That's what they want. But that's a lot of work. Warehouse jobs used to be good jobs. People would try to get into warehouses. But now they're starting to slowly reduce. That's going to make people react like they've been reacting for this last week, folks. It's gonna get worse. Sad to say, it has to get worse for it to get better. And we got some rules. We got some rules when it's time to rebuild. We're gonna have some rules. Let me get this. We're gonna go over some of the rules that I've thought of. When it's time to rebuild after this crumble. But we're gonna play. Yeah, we're gonna play this right here. It's the wind down 7 to 9 Wednesdays right here. Facebook, Derek E. Graham. TikTok, Amaruk AMARUK _ son of an immortal. And we'll be back in a minute, folks. Welcome back to the wind down. I am your host, Derek Graham. Wednesdays 7 to 9. Wednesdays 7 to 9. Now, I want to get to, because I believe we are in the beginning processes of a fall as far as our government and how our money system works, meaning capitalism, right? I'm for tax dollars for the taxpayers. What does that mean? Income tax, they taking money out your check, I'm with you. If you go buy a bag of chips for 25 cents and they cost you 27 cents, I'm with you. Tax dollars for the taxpayers. I'm not stressing about giving wealthy folks tax breaks, which is the only thing that Trump is on. That's all he's been on, and that's why we are in the situation we're in now. They're hoarding money at the very top. And when it becomes top heavy, it's going to fall without a doubt. But I wrote down some things that I think that we should implement. When I say implement, I mean without policy, without arguing with politicians, without trying to change laws. It's something that the people can just do and affect everything on a election by election basis. What do I mean by that? First things first. 65 is the cutoff limit for all politicians. Why? We see why. Last go round it was Joe Biden. He could barely speak by the time he left. Right? We know that. We know they were hiding him because he wasn't I ain't gonna say he wasn't well. He's elderly. Right? He's elderly man. Trump is the same. Trump is gone mentally. He's gone. He just has control over the Republicans, and they're actually allowing him to do and say whatever he wants, and they know it's completely wrong and out of order. 100% completely wrong and out of order. So for me, you 64, That's your last term. That's it. I don't care. I don't care that you're a senator and you like a Lindsey Graham. Or remember now, Mitch McConnell used to do what? Freeze up. So something's definitely wrong with them. Not as far as something that they can fix. He's old. They're old. 65 should be the cutoff rate for all, should be the cutoff year for all politicians. Why? Because they're getting old. And number two, the world is not for them anymore. They're living in the world that they built. The next generation needs to start building for themselves and for their children and grandchildren. That should be real doable on a local basis, statewide, and federal. That's something that we just do. Nah, he too old. I'm talking about if you go along the party lines, right? In the primary, they don't get voted in. In the primary, they don't get voted. You better find somebody else a lot younger. You want them to be in for 3, 4, 5 terms? You better find somebody in their mid-30s, maybe in their 40s, that have been putting in work in the community or whatever business or whatever space that they've worked in, and be able to show the people which way they're leaning. If y'all leaning towards corporate, like the Democrats, I ain't even stressing. The Republicans are getting ready to get blown out. This is our time for the citizens to have a clear understanding. They're getting ready to vote Democrat. Democrats need to go lefter, whether we choose to understand it or not. We need to go lefter because the Republicans are going to be voting Democrat real heavy this go round because they broke. And they're tired of all this mess too. Slowly but surely they're getting tired, but they're tired also, right? 65. If you're a senator or in the House of Rep, and you don't sponsor or co-sponsor no bills, you get one term. You don't get to sit back and just run. Yeah, I was with him on this. Vote for me again. Now we're not doing that no more. You've been put there to work for the people. So if you can't put the work in, if you all that talking you were doing to get in the office, you have to produce. If you can't produce, like a Marjorie Taylor Greene who was just always on the news but ain't put forth nothing. Lauren Boebert, I don't even know how she made it. She actually, I've never heard this. I've never heard of this. She has an honorary GED and she's running our government. Who gave you the honorary GED? I need to know the person that said you can't pass the GED test, so we're going to give you one. Hey, she's in the government, the federal government. She's in the federal government. Man, y'all must be tripping. They got to go. Corporate sponsors that play both sides of the aisle. Yeah, I'm going to give some money to the Republicans and I'm going to give some money to the Democrats. You know why they do that? Because no matter who gets voted in, somebody owe them something. Don't go against me, but so much. I'm trying to get this through. So do what you got to do. But if you get voted in, you know I slid you that $80,000. You know I bought all them books that you wrote that ain't nobody reading. You know that, right? Yeah, holler at me. That's why corporate sponsor. Now, I will say, okay, let's get into this real quick. Because I think this is a factor with the age of 65, as well as cutting folks off. No more. Now, we would have to get this changed, but it wouldn't be hard because the people would be moving that way. No more lifetime appointments, specifically aimed at judges and even more specific at the Supreme Court. No more lifetime, because you can actually do what you want to do no matter what the people want done or need done. No more lifetime. Now, we would have to start off in the states. You could get that put on the ballot. And I promise you it'll pass. Then you go to the federal government and say term limits and no lifetime appointments. Judges, give them 10, 15 years. And then maybe they have to go through a process to see what the people want to do, not the corporate sponsors that they've been getting money from. Remember, it came out that Supreme Court Justice Thomas, the only brother, right? Some billionaire paid for his home or his mother's home and put his nephew or something through school or bought and paid for. Why? Because he knows he don't have nobody to answer to. And that's a problem. That's a huge, and I'll say this about the Supreme Court. Right now, they're trying to get, the Republicans are trying to convince two of the Supreme Court justices, I can't think, it's Thomas and somebody else. They're trying to get them to retire right now so Trump can appoint two more for life because they're getting old and they're going to age out soon. And they know that they're getting ready to get smashed in this upcoming election. Look for election interference too, folks. Look for the election interference, folks. It's coming. But I think the wave is going to be too big. Even in them red states where they're having elections right now, they are losing or winning with a slight margin where Trump had a big margin. You understand? It's definitely some interference is coming, without a doubt, without a doubt. Let's go. What else? Term limits, two term. I like that 2 term limits. If you in the Senate, 2 term limits. If you in the House, 2 term limits. 2 term limits. If you couldn't get anything done, then you ain't supposed to be there. And politicians are not supposed to be career politicians. That's my opinion. No politician should be there forever. Lindsey Graham gets well, he was just down Disney World by himself. I doubt if he was by himself. You just don't know who he was with. I promise you that. I promise you that. I gotta. One of these are gonna either TikTok or Facebook cut off at 1 hour. I'm gonna come right back. I'm coming right back. But yeah, I want to play this to oh, it's right here. Oh, I do want to play this because when the reset happens, we need to keep our minds on exactly what we need. We have to. I'm gonna play this, and y'all get a better idea of what I'm saying, and I'll explain a little bit more on the other side. Wait a minute, let me see what time it is. Make sure. Yeah, let's get ready to click off. It's the wind down, folks. These are the things that we need after this shift, after this fall, after this reset in this country. Is certain things that every individual needs to live a good life. And I'm talking about everybody. There should be no homeless in this country. There should be nobody making $7 an hour in this country. I don't care what the job is. There should be nobody behind in rent. There should be nobody without health care and the government continuously trying to take health care more. Anyway, it's the wind down, folks. I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to the wind down, folks. That was actually that was RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, giving the 12 jewels. And those are very basic values I believe that we all have. But the way he breaks it down, I believe most of the Wu are they're 5%ers, 5% Nation of Islam. But not the nation, but the 5%ers is different. I want to say Clarence 13X started the 5%ers. But what he's talking about is just being able to live right. Just having enough for yourself, physically, as well as mentally and spiritually. But we don't have that kind of space in this country right now, folks. We definitely don't have that kind of space right now. And I believe we're going to get there. I definitely believe we're going to get there as far as after it gets harsh. You understand what I'm saying? After it gets harsh. I do want to, yeah, we're going to get into some black, a couple black topics. Let me play a little something real quick. Yeah, I do want that. Hear that, Janelle. We'll be back in a minute, folks. It's the wind down. We're gonna get into some black business. You know what I'm saying? That's just one of my points of even being on air. Some things that we need to get into. But I'll see you in a minute, folks. It's the wind down. Welcome back to the wind down. I am your host, Derek Graham. We are on two places at the same time. TikTok, AMARUK, Armaruk _ son of an immortal, and Derek E. Graham on Facebook. Don't forget the E. I want to get into some black business. Hold up. I want to get into some black business real quick. Hey, in the last 2-3 weeks, black elites have been being exposed. Black elites. What do I mean by black elites? I'm talking about those that are making the kind of money that we all strive for, and they're well known. And in this case is Chili and one of the Maori twins getting fried online this week about their mega affiliation. I'm gonna say it that way. Their mega affiliation, and the fact that the average black folks like, nah, we don't mess with y'all like that no more. Now, this is the issue that I have. This is the issue that I have. First and foremost, most athletes as well as entertainers they come from all black backgrounds, meaning that's who pushed them forward. Maybe not even their close friends, but the community itself on a whole. TLC, you know the black community pushed TLC. The Maori twins and their shows, we pushed that. Yeah, white kids watched it too, but it was because we already make things popular, and then they come and be like, yeah, we like it too. It's just what it is. And I don't understand coming from that and then turning your back on that. I'm lost. I'm definitely lost. I know a piece of it is being around other folks. I know that's a piece of it. Being around the very wealthy folks that are giving you attention only because of who you are. Because if they saw me, they would look down on me or maybe even ask, what am I doing in their presence? If I'm not producing money for them or this society or entertaining this society. It's like that's all. And there's some very wealthy, listen, within this conversation is some very wealthy black business folks that we don't even know who they are. Within this conversation of the black elites, and I ain't saying that they need to be seen, but what I am saying is y'all forgot about us. Y'all forgot about us. Where are the grocery stores? Where are the black farmers have been fighting this government forever? Y'all not going to them and say, yeah, my mama got a mean recipe for some green beans. I want all your green beans. We going to the cannery. We going to get a small cannery, and they going to be on shelves in our corner stores and wherever else they're accepted, but they're definitely going to be in our stores. But we don't have no stores. And if we do have stores, they barely surviving, and it's not a lot of our products in those stores. I'm not going to say it's an easy fix because it's a process. Without a doubt. You have to take over areas at a time. But I promise you this. Let's say Snoop. We're going to go with Snoop because he on the list too. Let's say Snoop that came out, I think, with some chips and something. Let's say Snoop in LA had 5 corner stores that are small markets. They're the corner stores, but they also have fresh meat and fresh vegetables coming once or twice a week also. Small. Just for that specific area, right? You don't think black folks going to the Snoop's corner store over somebody that's not from the community? Somebody that's never done anything for the community, take the money and run? We know Snoop, he has a pretty good heart. I'm not going to act like he don't. He's that dude with youth football. He's that dude with youth football. I love him for that, without a doubt. But he on the other side. He's I ain't gonna say he's completely MAGA, but he entertaining for him, right? That's something small. And who's going to run it? Whoever that's been working at McDonald's, a shift leader for the last 2 years, they going to run your store. And if it's an apartment or a house upstairs, that's where they live. And that comes with the job. That's small that the black elite can put in play for us a little bit at a time. Whether you choose to take over an area at a time or you want to bum rush a whole city and do 10 black cities in 20 years. Let's get the money because it's all money. Listen, all of these foreigners with stores in our community, they're making a very good living. You know how good their living is? They don't live near us. Their children don't go to public school unless they're in the burbs where the schools are kind of like private schools. That's the education level. They're making a whole from the bars to the gas stations to the sub shops to everything. They're making a whole lot of money off of us, and in my opinion, the black elite, they can grab that. It's going to be. I'm not talking about giving anybody anything. That I don't like. Real quick, I don't like when I hear athletes and entertainers talk about people keep asking them for stuff, and eventually you're going to have to say no. I agree with that. I agree with the fact eventually you'll have to say no. I don't agree with the fact that you're not smart enough to put them to work. That's soon as you sign the contract, soon as you get that big record deal, you grab your core 10, 15 family members and friends and say, listen, I got all y'all, but I'm gonna buy this McDonald's right here. Y'all gonna be on fries, but you gonna make $30 an hour. And then across the street, I'm gonna buy that Wendy's. And you're gonna manage this. And I'm buying a couple houses in the area, so everybody gonna have somewhere to stay, and we're gonna run these businesses. Because nobody's getting anything for free. You want a whip? That's gonna be a company whip that comes with the job. Imagine that. Imagine that you tell them I'm not giving you anything because if I got to get up and go to work, you getting up to go to work too. You buying a lot of them buy property. You buying property? Well, that grass got to get cut. So you grab a homeboy or somebody that need a job, you grab them a pickup truck and all the equipment they need, and now you got 10 properties. That's the start of their lawn care business. It's going to expand if they hustle. If not, you see them for what they are. If they lag off and don't want to do it, don't ask me for nothing else. Go on about your business because we working over here. We not asking for nothing. We not asking for nothing. We just need our black elite to use their minds and trickle that money down into businesses that are right where you came from, most of y'all. It's been some wealthy black folks for a long time. I'm not going to act like all of y'all can, but you understand what I'm saying. You have to understand what I'm saying. The trickle down, and then I'm going to add this. We have to stop looking at others and how they do, because nobody's us. Do we understand that? Nobody's been through what we've been through. Nobody's attacked the black family. Nobody's had their family attacked like the black family, like we have. Nobody has done legislation to separate us and keep us apart, and it benefits them. Nobody else goes through that. So we got to reverse all of that. And part of it, a major part of it, is economics. Whether we choose to understand it or not, we have the economic power right now to run our own communities on a very large scale. Does it have to come in a little bit at a time? Yeah. And let me say this too, because we always like to talk about Black Wall Street. And you'll see certain people talking about this Black Wall. No, Black Wall Street was a town with banks, with schools, post office, thriving businesses, probably on the outskirts of farms. Black Wall Street was a town. And then we had a whole lot of them that they made a conscious effort to destroy and take apart. Well, we're in a different space right now, folks. The intelligence is still there. This integration, has it messed us up? Yeah, we spend a whole lot of money with a whole lot of folks that don't care about us. So that's how the integration messed us up to me. We're spending money with folks that we know don't care about us. But we have the economic power right now, not to demand anything from anybody else. We don't have to demand anything. We just don't spend with them. We spend with us. We spend with us. That's the most important piece, folks. That's the most important piece. Let me make sure before I go on to the next black topic. No black infrastructure. That's what I was talking about as far as a whole town. And will we be able to make a whole town? Maybe somewhere, but we don't need to make a whole town. We can take a piece and name it whatever we want to name it, but we know this is ours. When you come across this street, all these businesses are ours. We carry ourselves a certain way. We get the young folks acting out. No, not here. This ours. We not tearing this up. Y'all need to calm down. And they will. Because there's jobs there. It's chill time. It's things that they can do. Because that's what we're doing for them. Because we're doing it for us and ours. Right? Okay. Now, I do want to switch gears. I got one more. Now, let's see how black you are. Understanding this economy and understanding how hard it is right now. Do we or have we thought about living together again? I know. I ain't talking about the first relative that came to your mind and you said I couldn't live with them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about relatives that you get along with. Relatives that are responsible economically as well as how they carry themselves, right? It's hard out here right now and everybody's paying rent somewhere. And rent went up crazy when COVID hit or just after COVID, right? Went up crazy. Everybody is struggling. So if you have you got a nice house, you might have an extra 2 bedrooms. You're not willing to rent one of them bedrooms out for $500-800 a month while you got a cousin that you love and y'all get along and they not out there like that. You understand what I'm saying? They're not doing things that would put your home at risk or put you at risk, but they paying $1,500 somewhere and it's killing them to pay that $1,500. They working so much you barely get to talk to them. Y'all can't even spend time no more because it ain't no more extra money. We have to start thinking. Now, we say about the Latino brothers and sisters, the black community understands. They it might be, we'll say it, boy, it might be 6 or 7 of them in a 2-bedroom apartment. That's because their family is still intact. See, we're fighting racism on different levels than other folks. They came over here yeah, boy, if you get over here, I got a job for you. That's how they came, with their family, with their friends, from the same villages and towns, same land. That's how they came. Their families are still intact. And white supremacy is not about tearing up their family because they're being used so well the way they are. And part of the way they are is to diminish us in the workforce. I'm not going to act like it's not, but it's not on them. That's on the white folks that are hiring them. Remember now, folks, with all this stuff going on, with them rounding up immigrants, that's a numbers game. I'm going to get into that too. But remember this. They were invited to these jobs, but we don't see none of these employers getting a fine or getting arrested, not even named. They're just going to jobs and grabbing them up, checking papers. But the employees know they're illegal. If I can check, if ICE pops up and they can check real quick to see if then the jobs know. And let me say this. I worked at a job before. It's NPL, Northern Pipeline. They do underground gas and underground electrical, right? Many Latinos. I was a truck driver there, transporting equipment, going to get raw materials and stuff like that, right? On that job, it was identical twins with different last names. That's real. Identical twins with different last names. Ain't nobody saying it was a joke. It was an ongoing joke in the company. Then there was one Mexican brother named Vladimir. Where do you think he got his paperwork from? These are the things that I understand is how white supremacy works and takes advantage of cheap labor. Because that's what it is. It's definitely to hold us up. Without a doubt, it's to hold up the black community. But also it's because it's cheap labor. They say, boy, they work hard. They don't never, yeah, because they need everything. They're sending money home. They're being responsible, many of them. They're being responsible, but they also got bills to pay and take care of themselves. And they've never had this opportunity before. So, yeah, they're going to work every minute they can. I love that for them. But we have to have an understanding of how they got here and why they're being rounded up and why none of the people that hired them are being charged with anything. Anything. When you get into it, it gets a little deep. It gets a little deep. Oh, I only got a half hour. Yeah, let's switch gears real quick. I want where you at, love? We're gonna do this right here. We'll be back in a minute, folks. This is the wind down. Wednesday, 7 to 9. A little bit more than a podcast. Just some mellow music, some good conversation, and me going off periodically. But we'll be back in a minute, folks. It's the wind down. Welcome back to the wind down. I am your host, Derek Graham. Focus Movers, Baltimore surrounding areas. Check them out. One of the better, I'm gonna say the best, but I'm gonna give it to them. One of the better residential as well as business movers. But I want to real quick take a step back and talk about us living together. We do it when we're broke. We do it when we have to, and we get along. Not all the time, because we broke. It's going to be things that come up. So imagine it would be a little bit better if everybody's making decent money and everybody's pulling their weight in the house. Whatever the house rules are, buy your own food, cook together. You watch the kids on this day when I get some air, and I got school on this day, so you get to however it works for that situation. We do it when we're broke. So why wouldn't we do it when times get tight, even though we make more? I want to say it's an ego thing, but it's also a we've been divided thing. And we're not supposed to get along right now. We're supposed to win our own. We want that individualism. That's what this country thrives on. Individualism, not collective. Collective is good for everybody but the system, whether we choose to understand that or not. All right, let's switch gears. Now, I heard on, was it Fox? I think it was Fox. I saw this clip. And it was about fertility rates being down, meaning how many people are being born. But the age they gave, everybody was upset that they're even looking at this. The age they said that fertility dropped by 7% in the last years was age 15 to 19. And then they said it actually dropped 70%, I believe, in the last 20 years. But y'all remember, I'm in my 50s. I still remember when they pushed real heavy to stop teen pregnancy. It was an epidemic. It was too many children raising children, too many children birthing children, right? It was It was everywhere to slow down teen pregnancy. Well, in my opinion, because they're complaining about it now, that was for black folks. That marketing was for brown folks. They wanted, I ain't gonna say they wanted, they need white folks to keep having children because that's what all this immigration roundup is. I heard something, and it's true, but I didn't think about it this way. The Democrats let all of the immigrants in because once they have children, the children are citizens, and most vote blue. So they were allowing folks in because they're looking at, listen, we've heard it say that they are 25, 30 years ahead of what they're doing, of what you can see, right? That's a move for the next generation of voters. Now, that's why MAGA is trying to get them out by any means, because they have an understanding. Remember, they just went to the Supreme Court. Let me slow down. They just went to the Supreme Court trying to challenge birthright, putting us in it. Well, that was just for black folks. They were the slaves. Nah, that was for everybody. That was, and all of a sudden now y'all on our side. Y'all ain't on our side. Y'all been taking apart our history a little bit at a time. And by y'all taking apart our history, take Juneteenth off of the federal calendar. Let us do what we're gonna do for Juneteenth. We don't want y'all racists off on our day. We don't want y'all racists enjoying yourselves because we were just freed 2-3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by that clown Lincoln. Y'all better listen. Let me get back to it. Fertility rates are down from 15 to 19. They're talking about don't worry about education. Don't worry about being married. Don't worry about having enough. Just have babies. What is that? That's just numbers, folks. And the issue is white folks are at a zero population growth. I think it's less than, but zero population growth means just as many white folks that are dying are being born. So the numbers are staying the same while everybody else's are growing. That's why listen, this has been going on for a long time. They're just really starting to talk about it. And if y'all think that black folks are only 13% of this country, y'all tripping. That's what they're going to keep telling. How do we stay the same, but white folks are diminishing, the brown folks are... Nah. Black women can have children from 9 years old, not that they should, but I'm just talking about what I've seen and read or heard about. From 9 years old to 50, 55 years old. But our numbers not growing? Shh. Now, that was part of mass incarceration. Have an understanding. Other than locking the brothers up and taking them away from the family, they're locking us up for years that are our prime birthing years, where we would get have the family and get women pregnant. And brothers get 15, 20, 25 years for a little bit of drugs. That was slow. That was the attempt to slow us down as far as birth rate, and of course, continue to split the community, continue to split the family up. Right? Have that understanding. Now, let's talk about where is Bill Gates? Where is Bill Gates? Bill Gates goes around the world, and I'm so happy that certain countries are starting to understand and not let him in and not take any money from him and not let them, him and Melinda, his wife in it too, not let them sterilize through different medications and things of that nature. But he's for stopping, not abortions, stopping births through basically cutting that tap off, doing certain things to the women so that they can't have children. It's documented in certain countries. Whenever it comes to here, and these Republicans repealing the abortion and all sending it back to the states, he's never heard from. He's never saying, nah, that's not what I'm doing. I don't want the births. because he wants the white births. He's in the brown and the black countries doing all this stuff to our women and young girls. That's what he's doing. That's what he's been doing. But he has the economics to come in with a smile and say it's medical or it's this or it's that. Nah. He's for population control of the melanated folks. I'm sorry. I had to pause for a second. But that's what he's doing. That's all he's there for. That's why you don't hear him in America while all these racist white folks. Now, think about this with abortion in this country. They didn't fight to end abortion. They fought to send it back to the states. Meaning what? The blue states, they already know. The blue states are going to what? Continue to do what they've been doing. Right? They continue to do what they've been doing. The red states, nah. Now remember, when they first sent it back to the states, they were giving rewards to folks who would snitch on their neighbor that went to another state to get an abortion. They were getting people locked up. They're getting there's a case now, I believe, where they got some what do they call it? The day after pill or something like that, and you can get it mailed. If you get it mailed from a blue state to a red state, they trying to charge the doctor or whoever sent it, whoever mailed it. How can now? I've never. That's the only law in this country because remember, states have different laws, right? That's the only thing where you can't go to that state and indulge in their laws and come back home and be good. That's the only thing. Gambling, weed. Well, if you get caught with weed in your system on your job, don't want it. That's something else. But you can go smoke all you want, post all the pictures you want, and then go back to a state that weed is not legal. And guess what? They can't do nothing to you because you were indulging in it, but not with abortion because these numbers count. They see that these numbers are diminishing them and they're on their last leg and they need these numbers. They just want they want these 15 to 19-year-olds to start having babies again. Y'all don't think that's crazy? I'm just asking. Y'all don't think that's insane to say we want teen pregnancy? What reason? It has to be a logical reason. It's only one logical reason. It's not enough white births in this country. And they feel as though, y'all see how they act. Y'all see how they've been acting. We're not going to act like we don't understand that they're scared of something. And part of it is called, I want to say, Frances Cress Welsing. She used to talk about the white annihilation and talk about mixed babies and things of that nature. And she was talking about it way back when about the zero population growth, and it's more dying than being born, and that hinders them, and it's slow. And we're here now. We see how they're acting towards abortion and towards teen pregnancy. I don't get it. I do get it. But I will say this, and I always say this. They're fighting with the wrong people. That's Mother Nature, folks. If certain amount of folks are not reproducing enough, that sounds like Mother Nature. That don't sound out. We're gonna count that more white women are having abortions than anybody else. That's something that Margaret Sanger is pissed off about right now. Her racist ass, right? Look up Margaret Sanger. Please look up Margaret Sanger and her meeting with the Klan, because she came out with abortion and the Klan was against it until they had a meeting with Margaret Sanger, and then they said, okay, we with it, because the plan was for black annihilation, and it didn't work. White women don't want to have y'all babies, white men. They're having more abortions than anybody else. White women don't want to have your babies. That's y'all issue. But it was for us. And then think about this. And I didn't mention this when Jesse Jackson passed. I don't be trying to talk about folks bad when they pass, but there's a clear date when Jesse Jackson switched. It was definitely after MLK was murdered, right? He was against abortion 100%. And then all of a sudden he was with it. And then all of a sudden it was accepted in the black community. And then all of a sudden he started getting perks and being able to sue folks and get. That's part of their plan. They grabbed him, say change this, and you the next one. You on deck. MLK gone, and he was on deck for a very long time. That switching of his opinion. When does a minister switch his opinion of abortion? How does a minister switch his opinion of abortion? Just something to think about. Just I might have to do a post and put the exact date and day when he came out for abortion and quote him on both sides, when he was against and when he was for. But yeah, folks, it's that deep. It's that deep. All right, let's switch gears. This is definitely, well, I ain't gonna say necessarily a black topic, but it's black folks in it. I'm gonna say it that way. Let's get into women's accountability. Now, I've been close where I see women not taking accountability, but at the same time, I'm intelligent enough to know I might take it personal. You understand what I'm saying? It might not be that, it just might be too close for me to see clearly, right? So I'm going to give y'all two examples that I see that women didn't, these women didn't take accountability for stuff everybody saw. We're gonna start with let's start with Jada Pinkett Smith, right? Jada Pinkett Smith just came out and said, what did she say? If I have to look like the bad wife, I will protect his ego. She was specifically talking about telling that man she was dealing, who was she dealing with? August Alsina in their house. She's saying she did that to save his ego. That brother, all of us saw the tears in his eyes. All of us saw the hurt, and she was good with that hurt. So years later, she's gonna come back and say, "Nah, I did that to save." How did that save him? You had no account. You ain't even say my bad. You ain't say that wasn't the place. That wasn't the place to talk about that. That was our business. And if I was going to talk about that, I should have talked about that just with him. I shouldn't have let the whole world know that I was having sex with my son's friend. Right? Zero accountability. And then I just saw a clip of her speaking on somebody asked her was her and Will living together? And she was like, no, but like it's gonna be again or something like that. And I'm thinking like, nah, he's good. He's good. That man ain't trying to live with you. Now, they said they never getting a divorce. That's paperwork. If I was him, I wouldn't give her no paperwork either, because I know you probably don't have no prenup. And I know you're worth everything, and she's not worth much at all. She's not really in no films no more, here and there. Her little band ain't kick off. I think she had a little punk rock band or whatever. That ain't kick off. So she's actually living off of her husband. If that's their arrangement, that's their arrangement. I wouldn't divorce her either. I'd let her live in whatever house she want to live in, and I would stay away from her 100%. And he is, it looks like. If she can't say that they living together, that means she ain't saying, well, yeah, we be together 4 or 5 days out the week, or whenever he not working, he come home. She ain't saying that at all. She like, yo, it's gonna be again. Nah, go do you, Will. I would leave her alone for sure, homie. That's for sure. The second one. Tisha Campbell, Gina from Martin. Now we've all heard how her accusations ended the show. For those who watch Martin, at the end of the show, like the last season, they couldn't be in the same scene. She accused him of sexual harassment, right? I don't think she accused him of, excuse me, actually touching her or anything like that, but harassment, trying to get at her, being on her, all that, right? They couldn't be in the same scene on his show. They had to write around that. If you that last season, probably the last 3 or 4 shows, he couldn't. Now she's saying she'll never say anything bad about him. She's always willing to protect him. What? Zero accountability. You ended one of the best shows Black America had, and you ended it on a note that made that man look like a predator, that made that man look bad. And then y'all started doing reunion stuff. And that man had to smile and be your friend and be cool with you. You don't think Martin is heated? You don't think Martin hates her? He actually can't say it. He actually can't say anything negative about her. We cool, we worked it out. We still love. He has to say that. But let me ask you this, because I've never heard of it. Let me ask y'all this. Have you ever heard of a woman being sexually assaulted or sexually harassed and got away from the guy? Got away from him the way she was supposed to, and then want to work with him later? I've never heard of that. Have you ever heard of that? That sounds like a lie. Sounds like zero accountability. Sounds like she thinks, well, she did it. I ain't gonna say thanks. Sounds like she did whatever she wanted to do for whatever reason. A few folks were saying her husband ain't like it because they were really messing around. That's what I've heard, but don't nobody really know, because ain't nobody gonna ever talk about it, because they can't. They actually can't talk. Hey, remember something she said? Listen. Remember she said somebody tried to kidnap her? I'm sorry, it ain't funny, but it's funny. It's definitely 100% funny that she said somebody, and ain't nobody paid her no mind. Nobody paid her any mind. The police probably ain't even. I want to say, was it another country? She was on scenes, or she was on a set somewhere talking about somebody trying to kill. Ain't nobody try to kidnap you. Ain't nobody try to kidnap you. Get out of here with that. That's 2 examples of women doing some crazy stuff for everybody to see, and then when it dies down or whatever, they don't take no accountability for what they actually did. And I think that that's crazy. Like I said, I don't think everybody that talks about women accountability, everybody not right. Some dudes just don't want to hear it. Some dudes are just putting a slant on the story. But these two stories, nah, they not taking no accountability for how they carried those Black men. And everybody, more people are chastising Jada far more than nobody's chastising Tisha Campbell. They can't. They actually can't. And that's crazy. Anyway. Oh, while I'm here and we talking about it, the slap was fake. Let me prove to you the slap was fake before I go. This is how you know the slap was fake. Yeah, Chris leaned into it. That's not how. He was laughing. That's not how. Will Smith turned his back on him after he put hands on him. That's not how. This is how you know that slap was fake. No policemen were called. It was on film, right? The police ain't questioned Chris or Will, right? The state's attorney had the film because everybody saw it. State's attorney ain't pick it up and charge Will because that's an easy case. Will would have had to do some kind of anger management, pay a fine. It would have been but they didn't even interview him or charge him after slapping somebody. You know why? Because it was fake. In my opinion, it was some kind of humiliation ritual. Y'all don't notice that Will is freer? Will is freer since he slapped the amount he coming out with rap songs. He's being out and about. It seems like he's being himself far more than that Hollywood dude. I think they released him, and Chris Rock, he just went on tour and made the most money he ever made in his life behind a slap. Behind a slap. They put him on tour, right? Okay. That's my opinion. Slap was fake. Slap was fake. Police not involved. The slap was fake. The slap was fake. Let me make sure I'm done before I go. Wednesdays, right here, 7 to 9, the wind down, a little bit more than a podcast. I play music in between my topics. We like to do hot topics and things that's going on in the Black community, some things we need to figure out and work on. I think we're done, folks. I think we's done. So we going out like what I want to play. Oh, before I go, I've been hearing folks, something small. Well, it ain't small if you have it. Folks with allergies. And it's a bad season. You know why it's a bad season? It's a bad season every year because America goes back to capitalism that I talked about earlier. They made a conscious decision. I ain't gonna say effort because the effort is there. A conscious decision not to plant female trees. See, when I was growing up, we could go pick blueberries and blackberries. We had little crab apple trees and apple trees and pear trees here and there. I saw those. I picked from those, right? Now, they don't plant female. They don't want you to, capitalism. They don't want you to have free food. They want you to go in them grocery stores to buy that food to uphold capitalism. Now, because of that, there's nothing and nowhere, it's nothing for the bees to pollinate because the bees are taking things, right? That's part of their job, right? It's nothing for them to pollinate. So it's just in the air and it's tearing people up. And here's the kicker for the conscious effort and I'm sure they didn't think about this when they first did it of not wanting to plant or continue to plant female trees. Now they have a whole new medical condition that they making billions of dollars off of. Benadryl, Allegra, and whatever else the doctors can invent in the lab. But all you have to do is start planting female trees and you will see a whole lot of people's allergies disappear or be very minimal. Very, very minimal. Now, I will say this. This is what I saw during COVID. If you noticed, when everybody had to wear a mask, allergies weren't that bad because everybody wore a mask. If I had allergies, which I don't, I would be wearing a mask during allergy season. Every day outside, I would have a mask on. And we've seen that from our Asian brothers and sisters. We've seen them a lot long before COVID, wearing masks outside. We didn't know why. I still don't know why, but I promise you some of them had allergies. And they figured out if I don't breathe it directly in, I'm better off. I would be wearing a mask myself. I ain't even gonna lie. I would definitely be wearing a mask if I had allergies. Because America don't care. So we're gonna go out like this. Hey, every Wednesday, 7 to 9, please come. I'm gonna chop this show up into some different posts. Comment. Let me know if you like my studio setup. Let me know if the audio is good, if the video is good. Let me know if I'm playing too much music, if I'm not playing enough music. Don't let me know if I'm talking about black stuff too much, because it ain't nothing over here. But that's all it's gonna be over here, folks. It can't be nothing else. It can't be nothing else. But we going out like this. I'll see you next Wednesday. Of course, y'all gonna see me online all week long. TikTok, AMARUK, Amaruk underscore son of an immortal. Facebook, Derek E. Graham. Check me out and peace.